In this video, I will show you how to easily set up a recurring investment in the cheapest S&P 500 ETF, SPYL, via one of the cheapest brokers around here, Interactive Brokers, which by the way, sign up link down below if you don't have an account yet. But first, why SPYL and not other S&P 500 ETFs like VOO, SPY or even CSPX? Three simple reasons. 1. SPYL is an Ireland domiciled ETF, which means you only need to pay a 15% withholding tax on your dividends as compared to VOO or SPY, where the dividend withholding tax is a whopping 30%. 2. Since it's an Ireland domiciled ETF, you will get to avoid the pesky 40% estate tax when you pass away. And 3. SPYL 0.03% expense ratio is a lot lower than CSPX 0.07%, which means you get to save on more fees. For example, if you invest $100,000 in both CSPX and SPYL with an investment period of 20 years and an 8% annual return, you'll be paying an extra $3,000 in fees if you were investing in CSPX instead of SPYL, which is rather expensive, yeah? And for these reasons, SPYL is the best S&P 500 ETF. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, the next step is to first make sure we are on the tiered pricing plan. That's because the tiered pricing plan is usually cheaper than fixed pricing plan, unless you are trading a large amount of shares. So for the case of SPYL, which is listed on the EBS Swiss exchange, the tiered pricing plan starts at just $1.70 US dollars versus fixed pricing, which starts at $4 US dollars. So to change your pricing plan, first open up the IBKR web portal. At the top, search for pricing, then click on IBKR pricing plan. Then just make sure you have selected all the tiered pricings. Click continue and you are done. If you submitted this request prior to 1600 Eastern Time or 4 AM Singapore time, this change will take place on the next business day. Next, you also need to enable fractional trading if you have not done so already. This will allow you to trade in fractional shares, which is necessary for recurring investment. To enable that, just search for fractions. Select Trade in Fractions. Then make sure Global Trade in Fractions is selected. Click Continue and you are done. Lastly, in order to buy SPYL, which is on the EBS Swiss Stock Exchange, you will also need to enable trading permissions for it. To do that, search for Permissions, select Request Trading Permissions. Under Stocks, click on Add Edit. Then make sure Switzerland is selected. At the same time, also select United Kingdom just in case you wish to trade Ireland domiciled ETFs in the future. Click Continue and you are done. Alright, we are now ready to start setting up our recurring investment. So to do that, at the top, search for SPYL. Then click on the one that ends with EBS. Click on the recurring button. Then choose when you want to start your recurring investment and how much money you want to invest in terms of US dollars. Let's try 100 US dollars. Then how often you want to auto invest, ranging from every trading day all the way to annually. But one question that I often get is, which is the best option to go for? In general, the more often you DCA, the higher likelihood you will be able to capture the market downturns, like the one that occurred in March 2020, where the market crashed super hard and rebounded quickly. But this also means that you will incur higher trading fees, especially for SPYL, where the fee is around $1.70 per trade. So a general rule of thumb is that if you are investing 500 US dollars or more each time, it is okay to DCA every month, since the fee will only take out 0.3% or less of your trade. But if you are investing less than 500 US dollars each time, like maybe 100 US dollars, it's probably better to space it out, like maybe every 2 to 3 months to reduce the fees a little. However, I would just say that whichever you choose, the savings will be pretty negligible, especially over a 20 to 30 year period where you'll be investing a much bigger amount in the future. So for this tutorial, I will just go with monthly. Next, if you want the recurring investment to end after a certain period, you can select the end date or the number of installments for it to run. Otherwise, just click on No End Date, then click Continue. Check through to make sure everything is correct, then click Save Investment. Alright, the next step is to set up recurring transfers to Interactive Brokers. Why? Because you need money to buy stocks lah, of course. To do that, at the top, click on Transfer and Pay. transfer funds, then select deposit funds. Choose the currency that you want to deposit, but for this tutorial, I will just go with Singapore dollar. Then at bank transfer, click get instructions. For the sending institution, just enter in your bank name. For example, DBS. The account number is optional, so you can just skip it. For the deposit amount, enter in how much you'll be depositing every time. Make sure you are depositing enough money to buy the stock. Otherwise, you might end up using margin to buy. So since I've entered 100 US dollars just now, I'll just go with 150 Singapore dollars here. Then click on make this a recurring transaction. Then give it a name, like DBS recurring transfer. Choose transfer frequency. For example, since I've chosen monthly recurring investment just now, I will also go with monthly here. For the start date, make sure you have chosen a date that's at least 1 day before your recurring investment date. That's because it will usually take around 1 business day for the money to be transferred over. Then if you don't have an end date, you can just leave it blank. Click get transfer instructions. Check through everything to make sure it's alright. Then enter in your username and password to confirm deposit. Next, you will need to head over to your bank. I'm using DBS, so I will just show you how to do it in DBS. Here, select transfer, more transfer services. Now, depending on which version of IBKR that you are using, you will need to select a different option. For example, if you are using IBKR SG, the beneficiary bank will be DBS Bank. In that case, you will need to select Add DBS or POSB recipient. But if you are using IBKR LLC, like me, the beneficiary bank will be Citibank. In that case, you will need to select Add Other Bank Recipient. Next, enter in the recipient's name. So just type in Interactive Brokers. For the recipient's account number, head over to Interactive Brokers, look for the bank account number, copy it, head back, paste it in. They will then ask you for a bank code. Click View Bank Codes. Head over to IBKR, check what's your beneficiary bank. Mine says Citibank NA. So I will head back and select Citibank NA. Click Next. Check everything is correct, then submit. Once you are done, mouse over Transfer again. Click More Transfer Services, set up standing instruction. For the recipient, look for the Interactive Brokers account that you have added just now. For recipient's name, enter Interactive Brokers. The next part is super important. You need to fill in the recipient's or customer's reference. So head over to Interactive Brokers, look for your Interactive Brokers account number. It starts with U and has 8 numbers. Copy it, head back, paste it in. Choose your debiting account, then for payment amount, enter the same amount that you have entered just now. For example, I've entered 150 Singapore dollars just now. So I will also enter 150 Singapore dollars here. Enter your first payment date, and if there's an end date, enter the last payment date. Then choose your payment frequency. If you don't have an end date, you can just skip the last payment amount. Then click Next. And there you have it. You have successfully set up a recurring transfer. Easy, right? The recurring investment will occur right when the market opens. But if that day is a holiday or weekend, the recurring investment will be scheduled for the next open market date. Now, here's one last thing to take note of. Do you need to convert your currency from Singapore dollars to US dollars? The answer is no. You don't have to convert your currency, because if you don't have sufficient US dollars, but if you have sufficient SGD, IBKR will auto convert your SGD to USD to do the recurring investment. And pro tip, since this is an automatic conversion, you will get to avoid the 2 USD currency conversion fee that IBKR usually charges. Oh yeah, if you wish to cancel or modify your recurring investment, you can head over to Trade Recurring Investments, then modify your investments from there. So that was a quick overview of how to automatically invest in SPYL via IBKR. But if you have any more questions, you can join my 10,000 members Telegram chat group to discuss or ask any questions that you may have.